Welcome to another exciting edition to GroveCityHockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college. Incredible.
Hey guys, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cut Shield, for bringing you this episode. Make sure you check them out on the link below and use the promo code for 25% off your order. Used by all 32 NHL teams and players, Cut Shield is the premier protective player clothing designed by players for players. Their innovative cut-resistant clothing has prevented serious injury to numerous players, including over 30 NHL players. Cut Shield gives you the peace of mind to go out and play without worrying about injury. Use our promo code GroveCityHockey, all lowercase and no space, for an additional 25% off your order today. Welcome to GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is a very special guest. I've got the Iowa Leaf Rays, Blaine Barker. Now, Blaine, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on, and let's talk about your role with the Iowa Leaf Rays.
Yeah, so I've had several roles in the program. And there was 5 of us that founded it, so I started at the bottom and worked my way up, and I'm the sole survivor. So I'm everything with Leaf Ray, if you want to call it. The treasurer, the team managers, the general manager, everything. So the go-to guy, one man show here.
Well, again, can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us on the program today. So tell us a little bit about your start in hockey, via ice or transitioning into roller. Were you always did you start out as an ice guy, or were you just strictly roller?
Yeah, so in Iowa here, growing up, we had you either played roller or you played ice. We didn't really gel with back and forth. So I always grew up a roller guy. Started at a very young age. It was hugely popular here. Just in the Des Moines area, there was 3 teams. And then there was another small town outside of Des Moines that had a team. And then, I mean, there was tons of hockey. Omaha had several teams. Lincoln had several teams. Bethany, Missouri, Kansas City, Lee Summit. And I mean, those are just all in our division. That didn't even include all the teams that were in St. Louis, Chicago, and anywhere else. So it was booming back in the 90s. I played a little bit of ice hockey back in my 20s then, but other than that, I'm back to full-time roller. I just travel way too much and put too much into it to keep going back and forth. I mean, if I had the time, I would definitely love to play some ice, but just so busy with roller between Leaf Ray, and then I coach for the Explosion program and doing so much, and I play for other programs too. So it's, just so busy, so much fun.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the Explosion program that you're currently running as well. So let's talk a little bit about your youth contributions, I should say, and we can go from there.
Yeah. So I am I'm the assistant director of the Explosion program. The director is Rob Cooker out of Des Moines. We have not only our house league, our youth leagues that are rec leagues. We also have our travel program as well that travels and plays in regionals and nationals. We go all the way to Tampa to tours every year. So we go out and we get to play against CJ and those YVU kids. So that's always a good time too. But yeah, and we get to go down to St. Louis, play the Chaos, and yeah, it's always. It's a good program. We do a great job of developing players. The big notable thing is that earlier this year, I think it was in November, the Midwest High School Hockey League, 4 of the top 6 players in point standing in the league were Explosion roller hockey kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. And it ended up being that 3 out of the top, or 2 out of the top 4 in the league were Explosion roller hockey kids. So it's, we train, we do everything with all the Mars Blade stuff, and it's a blast. Rob does a great job running the program, and I I come along and help them out anywhere I can. And yeah, it's so much fun, and it's a blast. We'll be all kinds of tournaments. We're going back out Colorado. So we always play CJ, the YBU guys out in Colorado. We're excited to go do that and get to go. We're going to Echo this year as well. So some of the Echo tournaments. Yeah, we're going to hit up Atlanta before we head off to Tampa for Tours Nationals this year. So just adding more to our Explosion resume. Nice.
Now, so tell us a little bit about the Midwest High School Hockey League. That's something that I actually have never heard of. What schools are involved? Where is it really being based out of? And go from there.
Yeah, so it's actually an ice league. It's got like the Omaha Junior Lancers. Des Moines has 2 teams, the Des Moines Oak Leafs and Capitals, Kansas City Jets, Sioux City Metros, Waterloo. It's got a lot of teams from the USHL towns, where all the USHL juniors teams are. So we see a lot of that. The Oak Leafs are the Des Moines team that they have a tendency to draft our roller hockey guys. So the Capitals do have some as well, and I have a feeling that with their new coach this year, they'll start jumping on that as well. But we'll see how that goes. So both teams did well. The Oak Leafs got second this year. They lost in the championship game, but it was a good season. So, yeah.
Cool. Now, and you had mentioned Mars Blade. I had just recently bought some new skates. I got the Alkali Rebel 2, but a buddy of mine has the Mars Blade R1 Pro chassis that he's like, I don't need it anymore. I'm done with roller. And I'm like, bro, there's a outdoor rink right up the street from where you're at. So like, what are you doing? And he's like, And I'm like, well, I'll buy it off you. And so I haven't had a chance to try them out yet because I haven't grabbed them from him. Can you tell me how you like those versus because that is a movable type chassis versus a rigid chassis, which we're all used to. I guess you could say it's a soft tail versus the rigid style. Well, what are your thoughts on the Mars Blade chassis?
So my personal thoughts my personal opinion is different than what I recommend to everybody else. So I am a goalie, so I'm a flat frame in ice. So I don't have the rocker in ice. So I actually prefer to not have the Mars Blade. So I always have to get the R2s or the step right below the Mars Blade for the Alkali because I want a high-end skate, but yet I don't want the Mars Blade because I don't like the rock. I lose my bounds. I'm a roller guy. So, but for the ice hockey guys or the guys that even grew up playing roller that also play ice, I highly encourage it. It gives you that extra spring when you're coming into your crossover. It gives you that extra kick because your foot can tilt, but yet the frame is staying flat against the floor. So it gives you that extra where like me, my foot is tilted and I'm only getting traction from my front 2 wheels, where that Mars Blade gives you that extra 2 wheels of grip and gives you that extra stride or that extra push. I mean, I definitely encourage it for any ice hockey player coming over to roller hockey, with the exception of goalies. But yeah,
which makes sense because you don't want a goalie that's has the rocking motion going on. That just makes it a little more awkward.
Yeah, in our Explosion program, any kid that wants some, we have Mars Blades for them to try, and we let them all try them. And then for the goalies, obviously you can't be wearing the Mars Blades, but we do hook our goalies up with some roller flies. So highly encourage the roller flies.
Yeah. Now, some tournaments don't allow you guys to have the roller flies. I hear that they're because of the international rules that they have, as far as like the World Skate Games, with Team USA and all that stuff. Tell us your thoughts on that, because I know that there's some changes coming in that international competition, whereas if the pads already have the built-in roller flies, that's legit legal, but you can't add the roller flies to your pads in international competition.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand there is a different level of that roller fly, and what I mean by that is like there's times where I've gone and I've made saves and like the pad is here and the roller fly is here and the puck is between the roller fly and the pad, and it's assisting me. It's an extra assistance in that matter. It also gives you half an inch, 3/4 of an inch rise on top of your pad, so it makes your pads that much taller. I mean, from the competitive edge side of things, I definitely see that. I enjoy them. I think they should be legal everywhere. If you're gonna let other people, screw on those little plastic sliders that you see, I think that you should allow the roller flies as well. Until you make a full-on roller fly pad, kind of like what Mission did for a while there. I really feel like that they shouldn't. They should just leave it. They should allow all the goalies to use it. But if you do, it's funny because if you go and watch like the Narch or the PAMA Pro level, a lot of those goalies don't use them. So you'll start seeing it at the AAA and AA level. But yeah, at that high level, you just don't see it up there for some reason.
Yeah, and that is a tribute to those international type rules where when they go play over in Spain, Italy, or France, for example, or even the Czech Republic. I know there's some guys that do that. Those type of accessories, are not allowed. So you kind of have to, learn to play with what you got. So. It's interesting and it's unique as to how different goalies and different players set up their pads and stuff like that. Speaking of USA Hockey, you just announced that there's going to be a national development program. What are your thoughts on that? I can tell you my thoughts after I hear yours. So let's hear it.
I love it. Growing up, I actually went through the national development program for when USA Hockey ran roller hockey. We did a tryout. There was a regional tryout. So I went to Chicago 1 year, went to St. Louis 2 years. If you made your regional team, then you went to another tournament called the Festival out in California, and you played in the Festival, and they chose Team USA from there. And there was 5 teams there. So I think that it's great what they're doing. They're starting to bring something like that back, and it was a great opportunity back then, and I think it's great for the kids. It definitely needed to. There definitely needed to be more opportunity for the kids and better awareness of how the kids can make that team and make the program. And I think this is a step toward the right direction.
Yeah, I know, because the last few World Cup or World tournaments that you were seeing, you were starting to see a lot of those foreign, I don't want to say foreign countries, but a lot of the other countries are now catching up to Team USA. Those games are a lot closer. In fact, some of the games are a little one-sided going for the other teams. And I think now USA is starting to go, hey, we have to change something up or we're going to get left behind here in the next few years. You started to see that with, the women's junior team when they got just demolished by the Namibian national team. Their junior teams, it was like 9-1 or 9-2. This past year at the World Skate Games, the Chinese Taipei team coming out from the men's junior, just coming over and just decimating everybody. And then not only that, but then taking some of those junior players and playing against some of the senior level men's, later on in that same tournament. And again, coming out, I think they ended up in 4th or 5th place, and all of their games were within 2 or 3 goals, and it could have gone either way. And I can tell you this right now, nobody saw those Chinese Taipei teams coming over and doing what they did. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, I think so. I had a kid who played for one of our Explosion kids played for Team USA 2 years ago, I think, in the juniors program. And I think that's who they lost to. It's that Chinese team. So yeah, they're good. So, and hopefully we'll have another kid going through there this year. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I had a chance to coach some of those junior Namibians ladies over there. But they were, again, when I was over there, they were, 6, 7, 8 years old. I think the one was even 5 years old, and now she's 18, and they're just dominating. And it's amazing to see, that they just that they stuck with it, and they're just they're very successful with it. And I knew it was coming because of being over there and just watching those kids play. Those kids absolutely love it. They're hungry for it, and they're going to do anything and everything they can to play at the best and highest level that they possibly can.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's still even one goalie that I haven't seen him playing. But there was one kid over there, hands down, at 14 years old, he should have been on the national team. He was just that good. He just I don't know what happened. I know he was kind of getting a little burnt out, but at the same time, sometimes you need to take a step away. It's kind of like what I did. I had to step away for a little bit. Probably not as long as I did. I definitely didn't want to stay away as long as I did, but it's one of those where he just, he had so much going on, and that he just needed a break, and hopefully he got it. So, but and I just hope he's happy. That's all that matters, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So let's channel back a little bit here. Talk to us a little bit about your MIHA season. Iowa's sitting pretty. You guys are done with your 4 tournaments. You're sitting pretty first place. You guys got 15 games in. You have 19 games in, 15-3 with an overtime win or an overtime loss. I'm not sure how that standing is set up right now. Off the top of my
it's
head.
A loss.
Was it a loss? Who'd you guys lose to? Do you remember?
It was a season opener. It was against I think it might have been against the Shamrocks. So
okay.
Nothing like starting the season with a shootout and then losing in it.
That's one of those things where, I'm not necessarily a fan of I get it that you're in a time crunch, with those tournaments, but I always want to see a clear-cut winner at the end of the day, and shootouts go either way.
In my opinion, at that level, some players don't understand how to hold back, and you can get some headhunting and stuff like that in an overtime. I understand why they do a shootout, and at that kind of level, I agree with it. When you get into some of the higher levels, like the T1, T2, AAA level stuff like that, that's where I really think they should eliminate the shootouts and go to more of the overtime rules. And that's why I like that the NHL does the shootout in the regular season and then goes to the overtimes in the playoffs.
Yeah, it'd almost be like, hey, instead of a 4-on-4 overtime, let's just do a 3-on-3. You increase the floor space, and make it a 5-minute straight, overtime period. And then, if you don't have anything, 2-on-2, and go from there. Something, at least to kind of make the game a little bit more of a hockey game, because again, anybody can get lucky, in a shootout. Is kind of how I look at it.
PIHA does that. We go 4-on-4, and then the overtime is a 3-on-3, and then if nobody scores, we go to a 2-on-2 overtime. We used to go to then a 1-on-1 overtime. They changed that years back, so now it goes to a 1-man shootout. But it does go to a shootout after the 2-on-2 overtime. But
yeah, and then on top of that, I also would love to start seeing what PIHA has been doing with the series based in the playoffs. Because you guys are playing, were you guys playing a best of 7 or a best of 5 or a best of 3?
So the pros did a best of 5 playoff, and then the final, the championship, is a best of 7. The semi-pros do a best of 3 playoff, and then the championship is a best of 5.
Okay. Yeah, see, I think, getting to that championship game, it should definitely be, because if you do a one and done, anybody can come in and have a great game. I bet you if Team USA played Russia in 1980 in a best of 3, we would have not come out on top on that the last 2 games if it was a best of 3.
We would have won game 1. They would have changed the strategy, came out in game 2, been different. Who knows what would happen with game 3? I mean, that's the way my PIHA season ended this year. We won game 1 in overtime, and we didn't have the legs for game 2 and 3, and we just got
Yeah. Now you were playing with the. Now tell us. All right, so let's just backtrack a little bit here. Tell us a little bit about PIHA. It's the Professional Inline Hockey Association. And it's based out of Colorado. Is that right?
Yeah, so it is based out of Colorado now. They have different divisions. So they have an Atlantic and Appalachian division out on the East Coast. We have a Rocky Mountain division out on the West Coast. There's a Hawaiian division as well, and there's a Columbia division as well.
Wow, I didn't know about the Colombian division. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you were with the Colorado, I can't think of it because it wasn't the Demon Dogs. I know that.
Yeah, so I was with the Fire program this year.
Okay, Colorado Fire. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, Joe with the Fire program. So we had a good season. We needed to pick up some wins late in the season to qualify for the playoffs, and we did. Came in 3 seed. We beat the 4 seed, and then had to turn around and play the 2 seed, and literally in the same day.
Okay.
So we beat the one, or we beat the. So we were the 3 seed. We played the 4 seed, and we beat them. We beat them like 9-0 the first game, and then the second game went late into overtime before we finally scored. So we swept them in 2, and then we got 2 hours off, and then had to turn around and play our other Fire team, and we were down 4-1 with 5 minutes left in the game, and a big old brawl broke out and changed the momentum of the game. And we came back and tied it up with like 30 seconds left in the game, took it to overtime, late into overtime. We buried one and won game 1, and just did not have the legs for the rest of the weekend. So they took game 2 barely. And then they worked us pretty good in game 3. We just couldn't produce any offense. Lost 4-0. So
yeah. And then who ended up winning that entire bracket in your division that you guys were in? I know the pro division, it was the Suffolk Sting.
Yep.
You know, they took the pro title. I think it was in 3 games straight.
I think they swept in 4. So I think it's a 7-game series. So I think they swept in 4 this year, which is kind of unheard of because it was both teams in the finals from last year. I mean, the Demon Dogs beat them last year. So those East Coast teams are tough though. I mean, that's the problem with out there in the Rocky Mountains. We have so many more teams that we spread the talent through. And then the East, those teams are just so saturated, and they're so their depth is just there. And so it's tough to play those teams. None of the West Coast teams even got a win on the weekend.
Ooh. Yeah, I think
in the pro or semi-pro.
That's really strange because like you said, that's an extremely deep and rich, talented Western region right there with all of those teams. But it's tough when you got I think Joey DiMartino, PJ DiMartino were both playing, unless one of them was playing. Maybe one of them was playing overseas. I'm not sure.
I think PJ was not playing. I think Joey was there though, but normally Joey's there, but I can't remember which one was there. Unfortunately we lost before we got to get to that point, so I wasn't even out there that weekend. But yeah, that
makes it tough. So circling back to MIHA, you guys have your 4 tournaments are done. You have championships coming up in April, in May, I should say. Yep. Who are you excited to play against that you haven't had a chance to play yet? That you think you guys might match up pretty well? You've got some pretty talented players with Spencer and Hunter, both leading the way for the team right now. Those 2 guys. Spencer is just having an absolute fire of a season with, I think he's got 56 points.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he's leading the entire league right now. And it's incredible to see that type of talent come through. Hopefully, next year he kind of gets bumped up a little bit and plays with another solid team, and is able to continue to have the same success that he's having right now. But yeah, so tell us, which teams are you looking forward to playing against? Which teams do you want to kind of like, I know you obviously want to get your Chi-Town Shamrock revenge.
We got that in Chicago, but yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you had, okay, cool.
We want to really get revenge against the Heat, the Columbus Heat. Yeah, we lost to them in the championship in Cincinnati, so we want that revenge. We haven't got to see the Madison Monsters yet. We've been to a tournament when they're at, but we haven't got to play them, so that would be a good one as well. There's really some other good teams. We beat the Street Sharks, but we barely beat them. I think we actually beat them in overtime. So I think we are actually their only loss now that I'm thinking about it. So that would be another good one. And there's just some other, the Thunderbirds, Grove City would be a good one, a good matchup again. And we haven't really seen some of these other teams like the Rastafarians. So, I'm excited just to get to play against those teams. We've gone to tournaments and we've had some more T4B teams that we played against. And then we've only played against, I feel like, a handful of the T4A. We've really had a beneficial schedule this year. And our team is just this season has come together and is very well rounded. I mean, in our championship game against the Shamrocks, we had 5 goals, 5 players scored. Nice. So it's not like we were relying on Hunter or Spencer to score. And I think Hunter's goal or Spencer's goal, one of them was the empty netter at the end of the game. So it's not like, we're leaning on them. We have other people scoring that are putting the puck in the net as well. So it's been a good season. I'm excited for finals this year. Last year we had a really tough season. We played a lot of T4A teams, but this year it's been the opposite, but we've just come together and we've even stepped up against those T4A teams. So
yeah, I want to say that ever since I came back and started helping out with the broadcast, you guys have always been one of those teams that I've always enjoyed watching. But you always you play your games tough but you just always came up a little bit short. Now it's nice to see you guys finally getting your dues where you guys are like, hey, we're going to take our licks, but now it's our chance to finally come together and start getting some W's, and you guys are producing those results. What are you guys doing to prepare now that you have almost 7-8 weeks until the championships?
Yeah, so the unfortunate thing is we have guys from everywhere. We have 3 guys from Chicago. We have guys from Connecticut. We have guys from Iowa. Right now, Leaf Ray is without a home rink, so we don't really have anywhere to practice or really do anything. We have a team chat and we stay together on the team chat. We talk about plans and strategies, and we've changed our strategy up throughout the season, including where people play. In Chicago, I played defense all season. In Chicago, I played offense. So we're moving guys around from their normal spots and everything, and it's coming all together. Everybody's liking what's going on. So, we just sat down and listened to everybody and took everything into consideration, and it's going good. It's working good. So yeah, really excited for finals this year. I really think we have a good shot to at least be in that championship game.
Cool. Well, again, I'm looking forward to it. But that's going to do it for this episode. Before we send you off, give us a prediction. You know what? Actually, scratch that. Why don't you tell us your favorite hockey moment or memory? One of those moments that, like, hey, it just drew you to the game of hockey, or whether it be coaching, whether it be watching some of the other kids, doing, or, like you making a game-winning save in overtime. Give us an example as to what, made you fall in love with this game of roller hockey.
Yeah, so my very first travel season, we went to regionals in Chicago and St. Louis, and just got absolutely annihilated. I mean, 3/4 of the game we were mercied 8-0 or 9-1, and it was so frustrating of a season. Everybody was so down, and then we went to nationals, and the problem is we were playing AAA teams at regionals, and then we go to nationals, and we actually got seeded into our AA, and that's the first time we got to see AA teams, and we played very well. Lost one round robin game, and then I remember in the championship game we were down 5-4, and we took a penalty late in the game, and then took another penalty, and then I had to come up with a big save and kick the rebound out, and it was to my guy that was cherry picking out at the point, and he went down on a breakaway, shot and scored the game tying goal in the championship game on a 4-on-2. And then he took the face-off, won the face-off, went down and scored the game-winning goal on a 4-on-2 in a championship game, and we won that national championship. It was crazy. It was an emotional roller coaster, but that definitely made me fall in love with it, and I've been playing it ever since. I wasn't sure at the beginning of that season if I would even keep playing travel, but it's amazing, and that's why I go on and I coach still. So it's been a blast. I'm trying to get the kids to do the same thing. We do the same thing with Explosion. We go to St. Louis and go to Chicago and play the AAA teams at regionals, and then we go to nationals and we play our single A and AA teams.
That's awesome. Well, now, MIHA's got a youth division that they're trying to kick up. Maybe you can get a couple of your kids to come and join in on the showcase that they've been doing every now and then. I'm not sure if there's another. They might be doing another one at the championships. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it would be cool to see more youth kids getting out there and playing. I think it's going to be great for the sport.
Yeah, yep. I think it would be great as well. Unfortunately, my kids will be at the Echo tournament in Atlanta that weekend. But I think it's great. I've been trying to push some of my kids to go in there, so it's been fun.
Cool. Well, again, I'm Ben W. Stock for this episode of GCH Podcast with Iowa Leaf Rays Mr. Do-It-All, Blaine Barker. Blaine, I can't thank you enough for being on the pod.
Thank you.